Yes.
You know?
Before we move on to a
Sorry.
new subject, though, Helen, may I just quickly explain the magazine?
Yes,
Jane,
can we talk about this is how he seduced me onto the show by
we
taking
have
out.
to. We have. Well, it's
Plug,
such a big thing,
plug.
but you have to plug the magazine. Jane, can you just tell us just a quick thumbnail sketch of the what the magazine is and why you set it up?
Oh gosh, thumbnail. Me, Jane, thumbnails. Those words don't go together. Basically,
thumbnail for you.
Basically, I set it up for several reasons. I set it up because I think there's all these newly radicalized women, right? Like feminism has basically, for most women's lives, been kind of in the doldrums, right? There's what liberal institutional feminism has been doing, right? But most women, it doesn't speak to them a great deal, and they were generally under the impression that, you know, our legal rights were more or less safe, and they were getting on being busy, running their lives, running families, doing what women do. And suddenly this has happened, and I think it's really unconcealed, like the really deep levels of misogyny that still exist in society and how fragile our rights are. And you know, the fact that a bunch of people can come along and go, we're just going to erase you politically and in law, and everyone just goes, well, that seems totally reasonable, and any woman that objects is obviously an evil witch who needs to be burned, and everyone goes, oh yes, fine. Like, yeah. That has, you know, that means a lot of women have been radicalized, right, yes, over the last 3 or 4 years, and are very, you know, interested in feminist ideas and these kinds of things. So I basically wanted, and we don't have any publications anymore because all the feminist infrastructure either has been absorbed into big companies like Virago and things like that, or has just been taken, you know, it's just been taken over by gender ideology, essentially. So if you are interested in the analysis of the oppression of female people as a sex class and things that brings up, there's not really anywhere to talk about that. So I basically
I hear it is quite the talking point at the moment.
Quite a lot of people are talking about it. Yeah. There's not really anywhere to talk about it. So I kind of wanted to take the opportunity to take this moment and kind of expand what we're doing, really, because we're very immersed in this particular conflict. And, you know, in a lot of ways, it's very horrifying and traumatic. But I wanted to take the kind of energy, but it's horrifying and traumatic, but in also a lot of ways, it's really wonderful because it's connected a lot of really amazing women with each other and has created a lot of very strong kind of energy. And I wanted to put that into something. I wanted to make something
physical,
something physical and beautiful.
Well, that's something that will take us beyond this.
And something
that takes
exactly something that starts looking forward to thinking about, you know, from what has happened, what went wrong with like the loss of certain feminist ideas, and what ideas we need to bring back and fashion together to kind of produce an analysis that can take us past this moment as well.
So excited!
So
that's a great idea. I'm so excited about this.
I'm really excited about it, and the team that's working on it are really, really amazing, and it's going to be really beautiful as well. The design's really lovely, and I just wanted to make something that felt nourishing to people. I think because this is a very difficult battle that we're involved in, and I just wanted to make something that gives some sustenance.
I think also we must it's kind of as you point out, we must never lose a magazine like yours again. Like it's not a fight that goes away. Like I would say that what's been happening in the last 15 years or however long it is, 20 years, with the arrival of queer theory and transgender ideology and all this sort of stuff. I mean, for me, it feels like men are taking territory. They're taking a huge chunk of territory because they can. You know, they're taking all sorts of different things that belong to women, all sorts of resources that belong to women. And the fact that they've been able to get so far in doing this it means that we can never let our guard down again.
And
ever.
not just
Right.
that, enjoying it, delighting in it.
Yes.
Just absolutely delighting in it. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing that's shocked me the most. There's a lot about this which isn't just about, I want this for myself. It's about saying, like, fuck you, women. It's the most horrifying thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
really
and you get that particularly from the woke bros as well, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because they're distinguishable from MRAs. They're just
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
you don't need to exist. You don't need these things. We get. I mean, it's like that famous, Dawkins stuff about about the power of naming, and Mary Daly made similar points, right? It's men have always had the power to name women and to decide how we are represented symbolically. Right. And I think this is really important. And it's also one of the reasons why I wanted to make space, and that we had this in the second wave. We don't have it so much now, which is, a space in which we get an expression of what is meaningful symbolically to women, which is not necessarily exactly the same thing as what is meaningful symbolically to men. We live in a culture that's entirely constructed by men's symbols and men's narratives and men's heroic stories, and
pro-porn, prostitution.
and one of the reasons, it's not an essentialist thing, it's to do with what comes out of our lived conditions, right? But people who have certain sets of shared experiences produce culture and symbolism that is different, and there's no space for that anymore.
No.
And there was during the second wave, and it was, in the tradition of second wave print media, basically, which is also one of the reasons why I wanted this to be printed, because it stands in the kind of tradition of women-owned culture, which is very, very rare, actually.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make that space.
And also, I think it'll be something nice. I mean, I'm very excited about actually having it. I'm excited about buying it for others, for other women, something that I can actually gift them, not something that's online, something I can say to them, here is a physical thing for you to have, to own, to read, to just have lying around your house, because it does look beautiful. Already what I've seen, it's clever. It's a really, really good idea.
And I think it's also important because, so much of what we've been talking about is about dematerialization, right? Is about the whole of trans ideology is this form of mass dematerialization. And one of the reasons why it has the traction that it does is because there's a whole generation of people who've been brought up on the internet and who are living in a kind of dematerialized way that is unprecedented in human history. And so it felt important to make something material